Okay, moving on in this story. So I just shared with you in the previous video about how I knew that there was more and how I wanted more, but I felt shameful and I felt guilty for wanting it. But nonetheless, it persisted. Nonetheless, I kept desiring more out of life and I kept trying to do little things that would, I got more clients. Because I used to teach a music program. So I got more students. I started teaching more music classes. And I just started being drawn to people and opportunities where I could see that they were thinking a little bit differently. They weren't thinking that we should just be satisfied with how things were. Their thinking was kind of along the lines of, yeah, we should always be growing and developing, and we should be looking for ways that we can improve ourselves and expand our minds. And I love that idea. I love learning new things. It brings me so much joy. I spend a good chunk of my day studying and learning new things, whether that's by direct communication with God sometimes, and whether that's by reading and studying and watching videos from people who are further along than I am. And that's one of my greatest joys, is constantly progressing, constantly being like at the level I'm able to handle at that time, but always with a forward momentum in mind. Anyway, I was drawn to this coach that I had heard several people talking about, and I was really wanting to join her coaching program, a life coach, back when life coaching was brand new. And I was terrified to spend the money, terrified. And it was only $50 a month. It's super, super low investment, but that tells you where my money mindset was, that I was terrified to spend that $50 a month, terrified to tell my husband what I wanted to do. But lucky for me, the first topic of the month was how to improve your sex life. And I was like, I think maybe this will be my in. This will be how I can get Dave to be in on spending this $50 a month, was because it was going to help us to improve our sex life. And sure enough, it was. And it was the best $50. I would tell people at that time, the best money I spend every month is my membership to this group coaching program and my gym membership, because it gives my mental sanity and my physical sanity. My mental health and my physical health. And if I have those two, I'm going to be okay. And I still believe that. I still believe that your mental health and your physical health are two of the most important forces at work in your life. So back to this coaching program that I was in, and I'm going to tell you what one of the first things that I learned about improving your sex life, one of the first changes that we instigated, that helped us to move forward and just be open to the idea that we needed some change and some growth and something different going on in our sex life. Okay, so you ready for this one big tip? So this big tip is to decide how many times a week you're going to have sex, and decide when you're going to have sex. So this looked like a conversation, and oh my goodness, like I look back on that girl and that Dave, Denisha and Dave, those many years ago, and think, wow, like that was really scary to have this discussion about sex, because we just didn't talk about it. And I knew he was dissatisfied. I knew he wanted more. He knew I didn't want more. But I knew I had to be vulnerable, and I had to just talk about the hard things. And so I told him this piece of advice, and we talked about it. And I said, well, how often would you want to have sex? And he was like, every day. And I was like, that's not happening. And I said, I'd probably okay with having sex once a week, like maybe once a week, probably actually more like once a month, if I was being completely honest, was when I actually wanted to have sex. Because remember, like I wasn't orgasming at that point. At that point I was having orgasms, but it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work to get one orgasm. Side note, now I have anywhere from 5 to 15 orgasms every time that we are sexually intimate, every time we make love. Sometimes it happens very, very quickly, and then just goes and goes and goes. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. but then actually it feels even better because there's so much sexual tension that has built up that the release and the climax is absolutely incredible. So no, women, you can have orgasm after orgasm after orgasm. As long as you can like physically and emotionally handle it, you can go and go and go. Like that's when like songs talk about like all night long, like literally you can go all night long. Men have to wait about a good 20 to 30 or more minutes between orgasms. But women are designed to just go and receive that pleasure nonstop. So, side note, tidbit. I wasn't planning on sharing that, but there you go. But here's what I'm going to hear was what I am going to share. The other piece where I was going is, so he was like, I'd love to have it every day. And I was like, that's not happening. And I said, I'd be willing to make love twice a week. And so we decided when those days were going to be. And for us, it was Sunday night and it was Thursday night. Those just seemed to be the nights that would work best for that. And we just decided Sunday night and Thursday night, we're making love. And so that might not work for everybody, but I invite you to give it a try and just have a conversation and decide how often are we going to have it and when are we going to have it, and then just stick with it. And that helped him to not be constantly wondering, is she going to be in the mood tonight? Am I going to be able to have sex tonight? Am I like that constant, like on his mind, constantly wondering. He knew, yep, Sunday night and Thursday night, I'm getting sex. And then there's time he could be a little bit calmer, and it helped to ease the sexual, like the little bit of tension that we would experience every night, where it was like him kind of like waiting to see like where I was at and how I was feeling. And then when I just like grabbed my book and rolled her up on my side, he was like, okay, not tonight, no go. And it helped me to not have to always feel like I was turning him down or just like feel that tension in general, right? It helped me to go, okay, Sunday night and Thursday night, I'm having sex. So what can I do to prepare myself mentally and physically throughout the day, knowing that tonight I'm having sex? That might mean like I was going to shave my legs, or I was going to have some time for me in the afternoon to read or to relax or whatever, watch a movie, because that wasn't going to happen at night because I'd be connecting with him at night. And so I took kind of my alone time at a different time during the day. It also gave him the opportunity, and this is because I had to share this with him. I said, it will help me to be more in the mood for sex if I can have like a better relaxed time also in the evening. And so on those evenings, most of the time, he would be the one that would clean the kitchen or like do baths and put the kids to bed so that I could have a little bit more alone time, a little bit more like decompress and let go of the mom version and step into the wife version. So that's a beautiful first step, first tip for those of you that are like, yeah, I need major help in our sex life. I don't know where to start. Feel into that, have a conversation about that and see if that helps, because it really, really did for us. And I'm so grateful that I was willing to spend that money to hire that first mentor for that first group program, because it opened my mind. Looking at my notes, making sure I'm just not going off all over the place. It opened my mind, and it was a catalyst in me becoming aware that this was even a thing, to have a mentor, to have a coach, to have someone that I could talk to about all this stuff, and someone who had more experience and more knowledge and could help me with all the little things that were frustrating about my life and help me to move forward. And that one first step, that first investment, catapulted me forward into hiring more knowledgeable, more aware coaches in more specific areas, like in sex and all these areas, and making bigger and bigger investments in myself. And at first, for a while, my husband was kind of like, why are we spending all this money? Like, why are you hiring a coach? Why are you doing this? But when I could help him to see, this was me getting higher education. We had both finished our bachelor's degrees right around the time that we got married. And a couple years after we were married, he decided he wanted to go on and get his master's degree. And we went into a lot of debt, and it was a lot of time and a lot of effort for him to be able to get that higher education. And I was able to help him see, this is the way that I am doing my higher education. It looks a little bit different, right, than going to school and signing up for courses. I'm doing it in this different way, but it's still a matter of investing time and money into me gaining greater light and knowledge. And I love that that is part of when we develop our intuition and when we learn to listen to God's promptings that come, we can receive greater light and knowledge from so many different sources. A lot of people are like, well, why don't they teach this at church? Why can I learn this on my own? And what I want to remind you is that the Holy Ghost brings things to our remembrance, but it's hard to remember what you don't yet know. And that's why we hire coaches and mentors. That's why we take courses and classes and join coaching programs, because it helps us to learn the things so that then we can remember them when it's time to implement them. When you're in the middle of a situation, you're like, how do I handle this? You know, and you have the training and the support behind you to be able to make those shifts mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. We need support, and especially as women, we are a community. We are a we. Masculine energy is all about the I, the you, and the feminine energy is about the we. It's about coming together and receiving love and support, and also offering love and support. So I would love to hear from you. What are some of your ahas from this video, from this training today? What are some of your ahas about orgasm? And some of your ahas about maybe this first step in helping to heal your sexual relationship with your spouse and bringing greater communication into the equation. As always, feel free to comment below, or if you need one-on-one connection, you can message me personally. You can click the link below to sign up for a connections call. And I just super look forward to connecting with you further, because this is so important and this will change your life. So on that note, I'm going to sign off, and we'll see you next time.